Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this young lady back. Of course, a news and commentary writer at the Daily Caller. Also, just a wonderful human being. It's Kay Smythe. Kay, how are you? Good to see you.
That's so lovely to hear. That is such a lovely introduction. And on this rainy Monday, I'm good. How are you doing, Joe?
Send some rain to Texas. We could use some rain. What are you doing?
Oh, we've got all the rain. We just had a tropical cyclone. I'm looking out the window right now, and the trees are sort of going horizontal. We've had historic levels of rainfall, and no one told us it was going to happen until like a day ago, and that was great. So
I don't know, and I'm not asking I don't want longitude and latitude, but I don't know where you are to the coast. Are you close to the coast in North Carolina?
Not well. We're within about an hour and 20 minutes.
So you're still getting whatever
coast.
Storms are out over the water. You're still going to get some.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this thing is hitting as far inland as Charlotte, and that's sort of the last major city before you start getting up into the Smokies and, the Appalachians. Well, I guess it's all like the same thing. But, yeah, I mean, this is a storm that seemingly, it didn't come out of nowhere. It's been lingering offshore, but it certainly hit a lot harder than I think anyone was expecting it to.
Okay.
We've had sort of quite a tame hurricane season this year for the most part. So, yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise on this Monday.
How would it compare to Wales? Because I'm guessing it rains all the time in Wales, no?
Yeah, we don't have like anything scary in Wales. It's sort of a point of humor for a lot of my friends. Like we have no
Really?
wild animals that will kill you. We have no venomous animals. We have no major weather events. We have no real like natural disasters. We do have a fair number of man-made disasters and attempted
Like
terror
what?
attacks and
Oh, wow.
stabbings. And there was the big one that sort of springs to mind for me was there was a slag heap collapse. I can't remember what year it was. It was, during the 20th century.
Okay.
So all of this debris from a coal mine collapsed into a primary school, killing everyone inside.
Oh, that's horrible.
So we have things like that, but we don't get. This is like a Wednesday, to be honest with you. I used to have to walk to school in weather like this.
But you don't really say debris, do you?
Debris.
You've lived here a long time now. Can you stop it? It's Kay Smythe with the fake accent. So what we have is somebody who's very cultured. Me. I've been to Canada. I went to Italy. And I went to China to get my daughter Gia. But I'm not like flying around the world. I mean, for a time, you were in music videos, one of the most watched music videos in like ever. You were in Italy. You were in. I think you went to Australia sometime. If you didn't, maybe you should go. You're from Wales. You've lived here a long time. You've traveled the world. You've been like everywhere. You've been to places I will never even dream about going. How do they see Americans? Because let's go Europe specifically. In Italy, I was there in 1982, so it wasn't what's happening today in the world, and they were very nice to me, but plus I look very Italian, so I fit in pretty well. But from what I'm getting from Sky News and other news outlets and the Daily Mail and so on, the Telegraph, it appears as though they look down their noses at us from there to here. Like when we have, hey, somebody tried to kill Trump again. Well, a bunch of rednecks. I mean, what is their take when they see the news that's happening here? Am I right that they look down their noses at us?
I think generally speaking, yes, there's always
you
been.
You don't.
I don't. I live here. Like
Yeah.
I'm marrying one of those rednecks, and I'm super proud of that. Tobacco. It is our heritage. It is literally. I've got a picture right here of
Source of pride.
My late father-in-law picking tobacco or choosing tobacco, doing the bartering thing.
Source of pride for Kay Smythe, marrying a redneck.
I am.
Write the book. I'm marrying a redneck. That'd be awesome. So, but in Europe proper, I get the feeling the elites look at us like we're a bunch of nothings.
Oh, no, in general, it's, across the sort of demographic board, I think that there is a general conception across Europe. You sort of have to separate the UK because they have a very different, all the different countries in Europe have their own culture, but Britain is particularly different to sort of continental Europe. But across the board, the general vibe is Americans are sort of obese, stupid, mouth breathers and loud. But
Wow.
then that's sort of like how people talk in public, right, Joe? Like that's the general vibe.
Right.
Behind closed doors, I would say probably 99% of my friends have at some point in time asked me what is the sort of process to move to the States legally.
Oh, wow.
Because everyone sort of knows it's better here. Like it really is number one. Like we have a running joke in our house that isn't really a joke anymore. But anytime something sort of like Britain versus America comes up, it's America. We're number one, Kay. We're number one. You got to remember this. You're marrying one. We're number one. And so, like, that's the kind of, that's certainly
Good.
the way that our household is. And I'm very proud of that. But it's interesting that there is this sort of very open public disdain for the United States, especially, the levels of indoctrination that exist within Europe, the sort of like levels of normalized propaganda. Like I was having a conversation with a family member earlier about the BBC, and this family member was very worried that young people aren't watching or reading the BBC anymore. And I was like, well, yeah, because like we know it's propaganda. Like we know it's not true. Like it's the
Wow.
same sort of thing in China. Like Chinese people don't watch the news because they know it's not actually news. And I'm really, really pleased to see that this is sort of happening with these younger generations. I just wish they would read books instead of going on TikTok. And so I do see a sort of general adoption and like a normalization, particularly, it's going to sound crazy, Joe, but like Morgan Wallen made a huge difference for like respect of American culture. Like he's the first real serious country music artist to become a household name in the UK. Like most people in the UK still think like James Taylor is country. And I've learned since living in North Carolina that is
Stop
not
it.
true.
He's never been country. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Yeah, like
because he plays the guitar.
Yeah,
because the guy plays the guitar, he's country.
Yeah, that's basically what British people thought country music was until Morgan Wallen like opened the floodgates. And now there are like I see videos of people in Britain who are like, oh yeah, I'm at a country music concert, but I hate Morgan Wallen because he's not real country. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like people I know listening to like Craig Morgan now. I think that's kind of cool. But I think the Donald Trump of it all, like, no, there's not that many people that I have met across Europe who are even willing to listen to me. Like I was a registered liberal Democrat, like super, like social liberal, whatever, my whole upbringing. I never voted for the Green Party because I like understand science and they don't. But, like I grew up in that, not necessarily progressive, but certainly Democrat, liberal leaning upbringing. My family is very far left.
Is that what the educational system does there too? Does it push a left-leaning agenda?
It does, but it's kind of smart. Like I realized quite recently that the way that the tax system works in the UK, you basically have to work for, I think it's something crazy, Joe. I think it's like 5.5 months. Like 5.5 months of the money that you make every year goes back in taxes. They don't teach that in schools. They are incredibly clever when it comes to manipulating the data to ensure that everyone has sort of like generally the same level of knowledge and the same level of fear that if they don't go to university and become a specialist, that they will never achieve anything.
I mean,
so
but
they get
you realize,
locked into a system.
Well, hold on. What you're saying is exactly what Obama tried to do and actually was pretty successful. Through his Department of Education, first they were like, what can I do for my president today? That was literally in some literature for kids in elementary school. And then they were singing songs like, Barack Hussein Obama, But he went on the campaign tour before he gained the office, and then once he was in office, he kept on telling people, you have to go to college. You have to go to college. You must go to university. You must go and learn this, this, and this. Knowing that it's 12-1 liberal to conservative professors, this was a push to indoctrinate. So that's kind of the way of life in the UK.
Yeah, it's been that way for pretty much ever, or not pretty much ever. Like obviously we had like huge class divides up until really the latter half of the last century. Technology, I think, has really evened things out, but so has, the complete destruction of manufacturing. That was a big thing that we did in the UK. Obviously, we saw the same thing happen here a little bit later. I think it's primarily under Clinton administration, right? Like he sent most of the jobs over to Mexico. Yeah, so we closed the mines. This is why I don't like Margaret
NAFTA.
Thatcher.
Yeah, it was called NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement that helped everybody but us. It's K-Smythe. Go to ksmythe.com, KAYSMYSMYTHE. I think last week I only said SMYTH once. I was like, why did I say that? What an idiot. But it's Smythe with an E at the end because she's from Wales. By the way, the UK, don't say a word. It's England, it's Scotland, it's Wales, and of course it's Northern Ireland. But now most people don't know that crap. They think the UK and Great Britain are the same thing. They're not. And explain this to me because you guys are confused over there.
Okay.
Is it true that part of Northern Ireland is in Ireland?
all of Northern Ireland is like attached to Ireland, and the UK and Great Britain are technically the same thing. I don't know why we have two different names for it. I think
there's
it's
a little
actually
something extra, isn't there? Isn't Great Britain doesn't include a little something extra? Little something else, like some neighborhood over here somewhere. It's like Great Britain to add something else. There's something else in Great Britain. It's not just the four, right? And what is Ireland?
No.
Ireland's just in Europe? It's just not British at all?
So we basically,
what is that?
For everyone who's like listening at home and not watching, I want you to hold your hands out in front of you. So you're going to look at your right hand. You're going to make sort of an L shape.
Yes.
We're going to pretend that this is the United Kingdoms of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Okay. Yes.
So Scotland used to be its own kingdom. England used to be its own kingdom, and then you've got Wales, which is attached on the side here. Down here is Cornwall and Devon.
It's like a wart. It's like a wart on the hand. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for calling my homeland a wart. That's one of the best ones I've ever heard. Well done. I'm going to get really Welshy now for the rest of the interview and talk in my Welsh accent to show my patriotism. So that's Wales. And then over here, and remember, this is not for people watching. This is for at home. This is also geographically accurate with the hands. And then so over here, then we've got Ireland, which has Northern Ireland, which is just up here and attached.
But it's its own thing, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. But it is.
It's like Wales and Scotland are their own thing, but I don't know why they get their own name at the end of the kingdoms of Great Britain. I don't know, dude. Like the Romans invaded and everything fell apart. Like,
by the way, we've been watching this Uncharted with Gordon Ramsay. How is that guy from Scotland? He sounds like he's from London.
He's not from Scotland.
He is Scottish. He keeps talking about how he's from Scotland.
Okay, he might have.
Gordon Ramsay is from Scotland.
He's not from Scotland. He talks like he's from London, innit? Because he talks like this because he's a chav secretly with fluffy hair.
He literally on one of the shows recently he said I had to work hard to get rid of my Scottish accent.
Loser! What an absolute no.
Now, if you can, because I'm just having fun now. At this point, I've already shut it off, so it doesn't matter. But give me a little Welsh accent. Don't curse. Give me a little Welsh.
Okay, so if we're going to be talking to our Welsh family, I'm from South Wales. I would say, "Hi, Auntie Jean, how's it going?" And she'd be like,
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. So that's a little that's Welsh accent. But if you want like Welsh, we'd say, "Dwi ddim yn hoffi Saesneg achos mae'n sbwriel," which means we don't like the English because they're boring.
Completely made that up. That's a lie. That wasn't the one. You sound like you were in Sweden. All right, so you got that, which is interesting. Can you give me a little Scot? Can you give me a little Scottish?
No, I don't know anything in Scot. I know how to say one thing in a Scottish accent, and I can't say it because it's a line from Train Spotting, and it does include swearing. Train Spotting, one of the greatest Scottish films of all time. Do not watch it with your kids.
Is this the longest time every week that you go without cursing doing my show?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be an easy answer. Can you give us some Irish? You don't do Irish either.
I can't do Irish either.
Well, you're freaking from there. I can do New York. Hey, what's the matter for you? I can do North Carolina. Hey, y'all doing? I can do Texas. I can do all that stuff. What's the matter? I can do surfer. Hey, dude, high tide, waves up. Whatever. You can't do everything from English. What's wrong with you?
Wait, I can do one Irish thing, but there's like a backstory. Okay,
don't curse.
It's the middle of August, so like summertime in Ireland, and I was there with my family. We're staying at this little bed and breakfast in this town that's like the local pub was also a hardware store. Okay. So that should sort of give
why not? Of course.
Yeah, why not?
Buy a hammer while you're getting loaded.
Yeah.
Why not?
It was really special, actually. Like, it was really cool. I want to run a pub that's a hardware store. But the woman who ran the bed and breakfast probably hadn't like walked more than sort of like 4 blocks like her whole life. Like, she hadn't left the area. And there was a French couple sitting on the table next to us. And for those of you who don't know, if the wind is blowing in the right direction and you live on the south coast of England, like, you can pick up French radio channels. We are that close to France. Like, it's just right there. It's a very quick, you can get there in 30 minutes on the Channel Tunnel. We're very close to France. And so we're at this bed and breakfast, and we're listening to this little Irish woman talk to this French couple. And she's like, "Oh, and where are you from?" And they're like, "Oh, we're from Paris." And she goes, "Oh, and is it winter there now?" And my dad just he just looked away and was just like, "I can't say anything." Because we're not going to like laugh in her face or anything, right? But it was so sweet. Like, it was just so lovely. Like, she was just so interested, but you could just tell she didn't realize that France was like less than, half a day's drive from where she was standing. So
Wow.
that's
That
the
was
only
really
thing I
good,
can
though.
say in an Irish
That was
accent.
very good. By the way,
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay, born in Johnstone, Scotland, and he lived there till he was 9. Then they moved to England.
Oh my gosh, that doesn't even count. That literally doesn't even count. Like, live there until you're 9. No, if you spend wherever you spend your teenage years, wherever you first get drunk, that is where you are basically from.
Well, no, it says he got drunk first time at 8 years old. No, I have no
Oh,
idea
he
when he got drunk.
wins.
No, it's Kay Smythe. I love learning about the region because I'm predominantly Italian, but I'm like people right from Ireland. I've got people right from England. I've got people from Poland, for God's sakes. So I mean, I love learning about the area. I am stunned. As smart as you are, I thought that you would have every accent down.
I
Now,
used
is it a thing where like we have our own accent and I'll do my own thing and I won't learn your accent? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's about you not wanting to be the ward that I called you on the side of the UK. I don't know.
No, there is sort of a running theme though. Like, we were talking earlier in the show about how Europeans and, people from Britain tend to look down on Americans. People from continental Europe really look down on British people. So,
Really?
so when I was a child, Joe, we had a camper van. We would go and spend summers just on, campsites in France or Spain or whatever.
Right.
Because it's cheap. That's what you do. That's what you did in the 90s. And I was chatting with some friends of mine earlier, and when we were about 6, probably, we were on this campsite, and we had this complete gaggle of friends, like from all over the continent, like from all the different countries, like, even people there who spoke Basque, which is another one of those like sort of regions that has
Spain,
their own.
right?
Yeah, it's a sort of like northern part of Spain. Like, it's one of those places that sort of like Wales is slowly being forgotten. Breton, is another Brittany in France, similar sort of thing. And me and my friend Sarah, we were sort of sadly realizing that at the age of 6, all of the other kids from continental Europe were speaking not only their native language, but they were speaking English pretty much fluently, at least one other language, and were pretty much picking up, like, whatever anyone else was saying, especially from any of the Latin languages.
Right.
Like, that's, because they're so similar. And it was so sad because, in Britain, we really don't have the same emphasis on learning other languages in the same way that America doesn't, because we were this global superpower.
Right.
Most places in the world, so you will find someone who understands or speaks a little bit of English.
That's
and
true.
So that sort of like narcissism, I guess, just went to our heads. And I'm terrible at languages. I can just about get by, like, when someone's listed our house as a scam on Facebook and people keep showing up. And so I've had to speak a lot of Spanish recently,
Okay.
but like mostly just, no, this is not for rent, go away type thing. And I can't even tell you what that is now. I'd still have to look it up right before I said it.
What I love about this, because we burned through 18 minutes. What I love about this is that we didn't talk about anything.
No.
And I mean, honestly, and it was the best conversation I've had in a long time, because we could be talking about assassination attempts and nuclear warfare and what the hell's going on in Ukraine, and Russia's going to send more troops and all that. I just wanted to just hang out. And this is awesome. And by the way, the diehards who love what we do stayed for the entire thing. They're going, wow, it's over? I can't believe it's over.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy, because that means like the world to me. Joe, like, I don't do a lot of media hits. It's a huge source of contention with
Yes.
my colleague Connor. Shut up, Connor. We can still be friends.
Wow.
No, everyone's really good friends at the caller. We're just horrible
Yes.
to each other. But I don't feel like I'm on national radio doing this. I feel like I'm just hanging out with all my friends. So thank you,
chilling
Joe,
out.
and thank
Well,
you for all the listeners. Thank
When
you.
you weren't on, when you were moving, you weren't on for a while. People were like, "Where the hell's Kay Smythe? What did you do to Kay Smythe?" Like, I did something to you. I'm like, "Stop."
You did.
She'll be. Yes, I did. I said, "You must not come on my show for a month." Kay, you're the best. I appreciate you. Best to John, and let's do this again next week. What the hell?
Absolutely. I'll be here.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll talk to you in a bit. We're back after this. Stay right here.